basically the aim of being your true self, being yourself simply. The aim is to kind of align all these different aspects of yourself so that you express that you basically become the truest expression of yourself, where everything in your being is kind of aligned. So your thoughts match your behavior and your feelings. Your feelings match your behavior and your thoughts. So you don't want to have as much disharmony or conflict between these different elements. But it's so hard in practice. I mean, it makes sense when we talk about it. It makes sense when we start to analyze the process. But in practice, what does it even mean? And we often focus on obstacles such as, other people or our childhood, our parents. So it's always kind of pushing the responsibility onto the external world. It's always the external world that might prevent us from being true to ourselves, might stop us from actualizing the true self and expressing ourselves. But I think what is missing in this process very often is the fact that we might simply struggle with knowing ourselves on this kind of very basic and intimate level, where we don't have these weird feelings that, we went out last night, for example, or we saw some people yesterday, and then we go back home and start thinking, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? So it's a little bit like, it's a little bit even like feeling like maybe you're kind of insane, because on the one side you're thinking one thing, and then you are sharing something completely different, or you ask the wrong question, or you give the wrong opinion, or you express the opinion that doesn't even belong to you. So it's like kind of this process of becoming more and more aware of yourself, or knowing yourself better. It's this kind of struggle between doing one thing, then coming to a completely different conclusion, then feeling something completely different, unrelated to what we just did or what we just said. So this kind of wrestling with different conflicts within ourselves, I think, is this part of the journey of becoming more and more true to ourselves and expressing more of that true self to the external world, so that these feelings we might be having, these feelings maybe of, it could be shame, it could be embarrassment, it could be anxiety, it could be frustration, it could be anger, it could be anything that provides us with this kind of idea or a clue that, listen, there is some conflict we need to address within ourselves. There is some insecurity. There is a part of us that strives towards an expression that wants to be expressed, but maybe it's immature. Maybe it didn't have a chance for expression in the past, and now it's kind of trying to emerge from this sea of the unconscious and insecurities and conflicts within ourselves. So I think all this journey of, trying and testing what works, what doesn't work, it's just a part of the natural growing process. It's part of growth and becoming who we can be in this world, who we already are in a sense. But it's not like, I don't think at the same time that there's some holy grail that we need to find within ourselves. Maybe there is. Maybe it's not something I'm fully aware of myself, as I'm also on this path. It's not like I have it all figured out, but I'm also vulnerable to all this, conflicts and learnings and testing different ways in which I can show up in the world. But I think this whole process is mostly based on this kind of idea of putting different elements, different parts of ourselves together so that we can be whole, so that we can, for example, our shadow can still find some expression, even if we don't like certain parts about ourselves. Even if at first it might seem awkward, it might seem like we are going kind of against the social norms. But even that part that we are mostly insecure about, the very fact of being insecure about it already provides us lots of information on where we can grow, where we can expand, where we can become kind of more than we are already. And we all have that part. We all have this kind of vulnerable parts of ourselves that can come out at moments where we least expect them. Or moments even in like controlled situation, like, it could be drinking, could be, just having fun, and then something comes up, some vulnerable part can come up. And then in that moment, or later on, you might experience this kind of vulnerable feelings or embarrassment. And the very fact that you experience these feelings already gave you a clue on, okay, this is the area I can grow, I can expand, and there is something more. So how can I integrate this part of me with the rest of my personality, right? How can I bring this part of me that maybe seem awkward, maybe seem like it doesn't fit? How can I bring it? How can I make space for it in my life, in my personality? Because that part of me, even if it's awkward, even if it's weird, that still belongs to my own self. So I think all this process of becoming true, or simply the process of being yourself, it's not something that you do once and that's it, and it's done. But it's something that, it's like we're constantly in this process of becoming. This process keeps going as we are integrating different parts of ourselves, as we are learning how to live with ourselves, as we are learning to accept this part of ourselves that might seem weird or completely wrong even, right? So it's not just a process of learning to be with other people, or learning to express ourselves to others or to the society and show up in the world. But most likely it's this work of acknowledging different parts of ourselves. It's not about, when we are feeling insecure about something, or embarrassed, or vulnerable. It's not about pushing it away, or fixing it, or improving it, or trying to make it better. But it's a process of making space for this part of ourselves that didn't get a chance to mature, didn't get a chance to get expressed, didn't get a chance to, show up in the world in a way that is integrated with the rest of our personality. So the reason, obviously I was trying to answer this question of why it's so difficult to be ourselves. So I hope you did get the idea from this video. But if I did have to answer it in a very short way, the reason why it's so difficult is because we are very complex, and we learn through our lives to push away certain parts of ourselves where we feel vulnerable, where we feel embarrassed about them, where we don't want to be in a particular way, where we try to conceive and deceive ourselves that we are not like this, or we are not like that we don't have that trait, that we don't have that habit, that we don't have that motivation. And this process of deception makes it difficult for us to show up, to be true to, in terms of, expressing ourselves to other people in these interactions with the world. It's difficult because we maybe in a way have been punishing ourselves for having certain traits or doing certain things that at first might seem like they don't match our personality, they don't match our goals, they don't match the social environment we are in. So as we are learning to conceive these parts, as we are punishing ourselves, as we are deceiving ourselves that we are not that, even though we've done certain things, even if we've said certain things. In this process of conceiving, of shaming ourselves, of criticizing, we push these parts away, and these parts have never got a proper chance to mature, to develop, to expand, and live in harmony with the rest of our personality. So, in conclusion, obviously the process is to bring all these parts together, and I've already made some videos on building that self-acceptance, learning to integrate and validate different parts of ourselves. So I invite you to take a look into these other videos, and if you'd like to learn more about self-acceptance and being yourself, being authentic, I do also offer coaching. So if you're interested in that, you can schedule a free consultation with me. There's a link down below underneath the video. So I hope to see you guys next time, possibly next live stream on Sunday at 7 p.m. UK time. And until then, hope you enjoy yourself. Take care. Bye.